Okay, tied into what David just said, one of the best anthologies I've come across is Christopherson and Yeats, and it's all sorts of poems. The author relates to religious themes, but it's got everyone from Shakespeare to Christopherson to Dylan to it's a to Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and I can't recommend this enough. It's by a fellow named Greg Tomusko from Christopherson to Yeats. Okay, I'm gonna read three poems. And one of them I've read before, and it's a poem but it has to do with why I was not here last week. So that's why I'm gonna read this, and then I'm gonna go to newer things. Stones, dedicated to Dr. Sheldon Axelrod. When we heard the expression, he's got stones in the old neighborhood, we took it to mean a less profane, he's got balls. And less proper, he's got nerve. Jagger and Richard said stones. I recently was exposed to more accurate use of the word when I was diagnosed with stones. Kidney and bladder, not fun. Kidney stones once required going into a particularly sensitive area of the male anatomy to blast them to be passed. But the good news, that is no longer necessary as improved medical technology has provided the way to blast them from outside the body. The bad news, that is not the procedure for bladder stones. First, the urologist, a very pleasant and professional fellow at a visit, inserted a video camera, a very tiny one, into the sensitive organ. And I watched entranced on a big monitor as we explored the innards of my kidneys and bladder. This fantastic video tour took away from the discomfort of the inserted device. Not so for the actual removal of the bladder stones. While the procedure is done under general anesthesia, it is disconcerting and somewhat painful to wake up with a catheter inserted in the aforementioned organ attached to a plastic bag. Ugly and awful. The next day, the device comes off with the instructions to drink plenty of water to flush out the fragments of the stones. Nice message. But it doesn't say when your body wants to flush them out, you will get a very sharp pain and have to run, not walk, to the nearest bathroom. I have the kidney stone removal in a week and a half. Really, it's been already done and it's long gone. And have had this procedure before and did not have a catheter. I do not have an intent to have one this time either. If in the future I have a choice to make between a catheter and euthanasia, I will have to think very hard about it. So that's the old one that has to deal with why I wasn't here last week. Now, because someone brought this up, I will read another old poem, and I'll go to a brand new one. Baseball and Life. With gratitude to George Carlin for inspiration. For 50 years of my life, basketball was a passion. I played wherever and whenever I could find a game. But baseball is the national pastime, and rightly so. All of our other major sports are ruled by clocks. Where the clock says the game is over, it is. But baseball is played until the game says it's over. It is scheduled for 9 innings, and an inning is for as long as the team are up without being out 3 times. But if the home team is ahead, it only goes 8.5 innings. But if tied after 9, the game goes on until someone wins. The longest game was 26 innings. Our lives are not on a clock, not at least one we can see. They are played till over. In some cases, they are shortened by accident or illness, just as games are by rain. We do know if and when we get into our late innings. We don't know when our own game will be over. We can only hope it was a good game, and maybe like Bobby Thompson's home run, Don Lawson's perfect game, Mookie Wilton's ground ball, it will have been memorable. It is obvious that a New Yorker wrote this, and that was written last year. And I'll conclude with my most recent that one person here has heard. Country and Me. I had 2 friends, Bob Cummings and Marty Brick, who like country music. They even listen to Don Larkin, Barkin on WAAT 970 AM on the radio. Why? Guys with a twang singing about broken hearts and life on a ranch. Who cared? Hardly the interest of a 16-year-old New York City boy. But one cold December 1955 day, sitting in the lobby of a large apartment house known to the Christian kids, even to one of my Jewish friends, as the Jewish house, we were planning a party. talking about me bringing records all the while listening to music on a portable radio. Suddenly, the DJ on WINS, WINS 1010, the rock and roll station in New York City, announcing a recording I heard the night before, said, and now a new voice in country music, Johnny Cash. What? Country music on WINS? And this guy is country? I heard that song last night and I really liked it. And I Walked the Line came on and I still liked it and even loved it. And 67 years later, I still do. The late and great Cash brought me to the original Sun Records $1 Million Quartet. Cash, Roy Orbison, Carl Perkins, and incomparable Jerry Lee Lewis. That was all before Elvis showed up at Sun. And I was hooked on music, but not on a fans, although I married one. I was at Madison Square Garden one night to watch a Cash performance, and Johnny introduced celebrities in the audience. The poet of our generation, Bob Dylan. Polite applause. Country music's balladeer, Marty Robbins, wild earth-shaking applause and screaming. Hey, come on, Marty's a good singer, but this crowd values him over Dylan. So I'm clocked out on the fans. I'm still all in the talent and the value it has brought me. An interest in Cash and his son comrades expanded to include the greatest singer-songwriter of my generation, my estimate, Chris Christopherson, and the velvet tone voice of Willie Nelson. Oh, you didn't know Christopherson was a great writer, even a poet? Well, he wrote Sunday Morning Coming Down, me and Bobby McGee for the Good Times and a jillion others. A writing teacher friend of mine always says, show it, don't tell it. The following lines from Sunday Morning Coming Down. The beer I had for breakfast tasted good, so I did it for dessert. And I found my cleanest dirty shirt. Paint a perfect picture of the narrator. Don't look down on country. This is literature, baby. Thank you very much for putting up with me.